pull on that jersey. You represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Nobody ever tells me anything. So I'm going to try and tell you everything I know. And no, I am not wearing a red shirt. I'm wearing a green shirt this time around. Try and get it right. Welcome to NETMA. Here on a Wednesday evenings was where we start our week. Thanks for allowing me to have a day off yesterday. Of course, not feeling well. Called 2 amazing games Monday night. And I'm just exhausted. I was still exhausted a day later. And not to mention the way things are going at work, doing a lot of paperwork to try and get things done. You don't know about how the military does a couple of things. Basically, we write our own end of year packages. Basically, that try and tell everybody how great we are. So, trying to get promoted this time around. So, we'll see what happens. We're just gonna try and work hard for it. That's what happened all yesterday. I was too busy working on that. Didn't have enough time to get home and put together a quality product for you. So thanks for letting me have a day off. Glad to be back. Glad to see everybody come back. And let's go ahead and get right into week 2, shall we? So we had a good day. Well, I should say Lone Star had a good day on Saturday. I spilt tea for London, however. I almost wanted to use it in a way that reminded me of the Revolutionary War, except the Revolutionary War took place in London or the UK, so it was like a reverse Revolutionary War, like the US invaded Britain for some reason, but Lone Star. Yes, Bo Martin Jr., yes, Dave Axis, yes, Lone Star. Color me impressed, and I know in your guys' opinion, you guys are saying that nobody should be impressed with how good we are because we know how good we were. We just had a bad break last time out. So, kudos to you guys. You'll like where you sit tomorrow. Or at least no one likes where they sit. Everyone has something to say about where I put everybody in the power rankings. Power rankings come out tomorrow, everybody. I'm pretty sure Lone Star at least will be sort of happy. Though I'm still not going to, if they win next week, I will definitely not live down another 2-10 prediction gone wrong. 2-10s are just out to get me. I think because I called out Atlanta for it a couple seasons ago, that it's just gonna follow me everywhere, and I just have to embrace it. Just like how we do in the military, we embrace the suck, and so I'm embracing my suckitude right now. So Lone Star 2-0, London. I'm just gonna say this. It's just my personal opinion about West Coast air raid offenses. I have never been a fan of those style of offenses. I don't understand the idea of not having a balanced game plan or even having more of a run heavy. Color me old school. I'm more old school. I like to have a good running game. I love a fantastic fullback. Fullbacks, if no matter which, if I'm doing something in the simulation football league, if I'm doing something on a different game or whatnot, or a different football game, I'm having a good fullback. I want a good running game. So to have I respect how London's going about their business with Johnny Pickler and the passing attack, but to me, right now, with Robert Merrill only contributing under 50 yards a game at best, to me, it's just foreign, and I can't embrace the mentality with London. If it works for them, if they can find a way to tweak it later on this season and try and get back to it, good for them. Though right now, I think because of how one-dimensional they are, they're getting blown up, and it's showing it on a daily basis in the game. Yeah, 750 yards passing is great. How many wins do you have this season? That's all I got to say. Game number 2, Feast or Famine. Tulsa falls to Las Vegas. And now I'm not knocking a famine for Tulsa because of Douglas Brown's production. Of course, Douglas Brown got injured. I'm not saying that this isn't against Douglas Brown at all. I'm saying this is how things went. Las Vegas feasted on Tulsa's defense. Douglas Brown does not play on that defense. He plays, of course, in the running back role. So for that offense, that Las Vegas offense, to run wild on Tulsa goes to show that Tulsa isn't ready to make the step up to being a middle of the road team just yet. Las Vegas have been in that role the last couple of seasons. It's just how things go. It's just how things go. And for Tulsa, unfortunately, couldn't have all their weapons out there because of the injury to Douglas Brown in the first quarter. So it's unfortunate for them, for us not to see a complete game against Las Vegas with Douglas Brown in the picture. Hopefully, he's able to compete the full 44 minutes in week 3. But unfortunately for Tulsa, they could not keep up with the Fury. All right. Moving on to number 3, slow burner for Carolina and San Diego. I'm talking about the slow burner for San Diego's engines. They couldn't really get going until the fourth quarter. They did score 22 points to keep it interesting in that fourth quarter. However, it was too little too late as Carolina were just able to, at one point they were up 20-0. Carolina were, before San Diego made that field goal near the end of that second quarter. So San Diego played magnificently against Florida. I don't know if I know no team just game plans for one team and then maybe extends that game plan throughout, because I know you can only do so much with your playbook, but it seemed to me San Diego's defense was not up to the task against the changes that Carolina has made in the offseason in terms of their play style. They still have that swing pass, which is pretty dangerous, but the run game is a lot more enthusiastic, if you will. One touchdown for Logan Jack on the ground, only 47 yards officially. However, you do have to pay attention to that run game now more so than in previous seasons for Carolina, as San Diego was pretty well put on notice that Carolina's offense has some pretty good decency to it. Matt South only completed about 65% of his passes. However, conversely, Scar Patterson had a better day in terms of completion percentage. However, he did throw the ball away a couple of times. That's just the rookie growing pains, we'll call it, for Scar Patterson. Still, he's a decent quarterback. San Diego should stick with him. And 1-1 for San Diego to start the season. I'd say that's a really good start for the Mavs. For Carolina, though, to come back and after a week 1 loss, to come back and win and get them back to 1-1, I'd say Carolina is in a pretty good spot as well. So both teams 1-1. That is game number 3. On to game number 4, and I can't quite seem to find this one. Where is it? What happened to it? What happened to this game? I remember it playing Saturday night. I just can't seem to figure out what happened. Too soon, Los Angeles? Yeah, I know. Okay, we'll come back. Maybe a little bit too soon, maybe a little bit too drawn out, but hold your pitchforks, please. Hold your pitchforks. 14-14 was the score of the ball game before a certain Xbox, which is now living in fear of the Commissioner Cameron Irvine, decided to freeze on everybody, and we'd have to replay the game Saturday night, where Vancouver took over the first half of that football game and really just never looked back. Los Angeles, unfortunately, were just unable to get back into rhythm coming out of the freeze, and Los Angeles just just faltered a little bit. Vancouver just came out with a better game plan. Again, same game plan. Tom Pepper was on the mark, 80% completion percentage. He is one of 3 quarterbacks now in the league to this season that have won a football game without throwing a single touchdown pass. So credit the rushing attack. Instead of Sawyer Stern getting a couple touchdowns, Robert Redford added a hat trick. So that's a dangerous fullback they've gotten. He's creating a lot of space for Robert Redford to scamper through. So good on Vancouver for, again, a more balanced game plan. I think London should take note. They're probably still going to go the pass half the offense, and that's to their own devices. All right. On to game number 5. And all I got to say for this game is that game was ugly. It's an ugly win for Denver. Eric Price threw the ball away 5 times. Mike Ryan and Tank Bennett, the recipients of 5 interceptions. Ryan 3, Bennett 2. However, it wasn't the defense's fault for Louisiana. The offense just couldn't find a rhythm. Tommy Utah threw 3 picks himself. Let's see. Close to 300 yards in a valiant effort for Utah, but it has to be said, Denver just played a better football game. Did throw 3 touchdowns in direct response to those 5 interceptions. The defense for Denver, I'd have to say, played lights out. Only gave up 25% on third downs to Louisiana. While they converted 66% on their own offense. So just absolutely fantastic ball game for Denver. They just outplayed Louisiana and just overcame those 5 interceptions to come away with, I'd say, a pretty nice victory scored in about 2 touchdowns worth. That's how Denver comes away with an ugly, ugly victory. Okay. Next game. Number 6, I believe. Yeah, game number 6. So final game going on Saturday, Baltimore and Houston. And for Houston, you cannot fault your defense. Your defense was the first team since the championship or the last time Baltimore played in season 16? The first time that their offense had scored less than 30 points. So the defense held strong. There was just no offensive production for Houston. Dave Burr was completely stifled. Only 210 passing yards through 4 interceptions. Was sacked once. I don't really say I don't want to fault Dave Burr playing up against a stellar defense in Baltimore, but it has to be said, the Houston offense was completely lacking almost everything. Brad Jones over 100 yards on the ground, but they couldn't go to the ground because they were down by so much late on in that football game. If they just would have had maybe a bit more consistency from Dave Burr and thrown to the right hats, maybe Houston's in this ball game. But Baltimore completely whooped Houston, and Houston just has to go back to the den looking in their wounds. Okay. First game on Monday, and this game had everything. Jacksonville, Charleston. For those of you that watched SFL Crunch Time over on the SFL YouTube, my only it's a self opinion here, but I'm like, you showed a little bit of the game, and I'm glad they show a little bit of every game, and I'm glad we got to hear a little bit of the call. At the same time, though, it's maybe a little bit biased to me, but if you haven't seen to the end of that football game, you have to go check it out. At least watch the highlight version of it. That'll get you caught up. And I love the way that we now have highlights here in the SFL, or at least a highlight clip package put together by Victor's Valiant. I cannot recommend his channel, and I can't recommend the highlight packages he's put together for us. He's an absolute stellar individual. Haven't gotten a chance to meet him yet, but what he's put together for the SFL is quite impressive. So go, I would say, check out the end of that football game. You will not be disappointed. But it had everything. It had controversy. It had late game drama. It had clutch catches, mostly by Jacksonville, but you can't fault Lyric Da Vinci's big catch over the middle with about a minute 30 left in that football game. It was a fantastic football game. Go check it out. Charleston, just again, again loses a tough ball game. They fall to 0-2. And again, I said this at the beginning of the season, Charleston. I thought you were going to lose a couple close games. I didn't think you would lose in that type of fashion. In what had to have been Marcus Dunhill's best drive since returning to the SFL after winning the season 15 championship with the Atlanta Swarm. Go watch that drive. Watch that drive. Study that drive. Dunhill played his tail off. Fantastic performance from Jacksonville. Fantastic performance from Charleston. I can't help but applaud both teams. Both teams play spectacularly. They both deserve to win. They both deserve to win that football game. Sadly, Jacksonville's the only team that does come away with those honors. In the Sioux Falls and St. Louis game, however, Christian Brown threw it away. What is it, 6 picks for Christian Brown? Yeah, 6 picks for Christian Brown in that football game. Just didn't seem to want to have control of that football. Thankfully, none of them got returned for a pick 6, but it just, or maybe I'm wrong. I'm looking, no, yeah, none of them got returned for a pick 6, though Jay Ringgold in one game has 4 interceptions. You have to take better control of the football. That Christian Brown's going to be the first one to tell you it's on him. I'm not going to harp on him too much. He knows what he needs to improve on. The coaching staff just was outplayed by a Sioux Falls defense that just came to play. So a very nice kick return touchdown for AJ Levy. He had a stellar day. So now we have a couple players in the SFL that have kick return touchdowns. But Sioux Falls defense won that football game, forcing Christian Brown to throw 6 interceptions. Okay. Moving on to game number 9. Taste the tension. It's kind of like Taste the Rainbow, except I think that's trademarked by this point. Taste the tension in Atlanta. That game, it was methodical. It was old school. It was exciting to the very end, and we didn't see BDG, start to get going until late on the third quarter. And it was showed on SFL Crunch Time, but that play opened up the fourth quarter. The play where he spun out of the backfield, out of 2 tackles, and ran past Eddie Gage into the end zone for a 78-yard rush or something like that, rushing touchdown. But BDG Hollywood was stifled. Eddie Gage put together a fantastic defensive game plan to stifle BDG, though it wasn't good enough as Atlanta take home the victory. It was a tasty matchup. It was fantastic to watch. Ashley Jackson has yet to throw a touchdown in season 18. I think that's a little worrisome. I think that's because of the quality of the Hans brothers compared to the replacements, Owens and Weston. And it's no knock on them. They just aren't the quality of wide receivers that the both Hans brothers were. So hopefully the Scorpions can put together a better game plan, better offensive game plan for the next coming weeks. Because I think if they cannot get that passing attack going effectively, I think they're in trouble. Okay, Mexico City and Queen City, snow luck for Mexico City. And I know that there really is no home field advantage anymore in the SFL, but you gotta think, Mexico City playing in Buffalo, New York in the snow, how could that have not been just a sprinkle of home field advantage for Buffalo? How could Buffalo not be more prepared to play in the snow than Mexico City? It showed with Judah Dorgan's couple of missed field goals. The first one, he slipped in the snow. You didn't see a whole lot of slipping in that football game, but you saw Judah Dorgan slip trying to make a field goal. Mexico City was just unprepared. Queen City take a scoregami on the way out the door as they leave a snowy tundra behind them in week 2 for a 1-1 start to their season. Mexico City, I believe they fall to, is it 1-1 as well? I think Mexico City are 1-1 as well. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Final 2 games on the docket here for week 2, and Florida defeats Portland 33-21. Portland is still a block behind. I think a lot of us had thought that Portland had turned a corner. However, I think they're still a ways behind of trying to beat quality teams. Florida is a team that was shocked by San Diego, but is a good team. Portland is an up-and-coming team that has not yet had a statement win since coming into the league. Portland has yet to convince me that the Fleet are here to compete for a championship. Effectively, that is. Every team's here competing for the championship. However, I think Portland just is missing a few pieces. I don't think they are ready yet to make a deep run in the playoffs. They are still needing something else because right now they don't have the acumen, the experience needed. I think losing Art Vandelay in the offseason, I think hurt their defense a little bit. I think it hurt maybe a little bit of their offensive production, but I think Portland, again, they could make the playoffs. I don't see them making a deep run in the playoffs this season. That's just my take. So Portland a block behind. Florida get back to winning ways after another opening week loss. Moving on to the final game of the week 2 slate. I can't snap, but it seemed to me that a certain someone snapped away the time in that football game. Fantastic football game, and you can't fault anyone on that team. I don't think you can even fault Stephen Hacker. A lot of Stephen Hacker equals Juju Smith-Schuster comparisons have been thrown out the door. Maybe in passing, maybe behind closed doors. In my opinion, I think that's where everyone was thinking Hacker equals Juju Smith-Schuster and what he did against the Vikings. But I don't think you can fault Hacker. Again, these things happen in the SFL. These time management blunders that I don't think were necessarily prepared for when the simulation. Thank you, Claypool Albert Begin, not Juju Smith-Schuster. But I don't think it was effectively realized when a simulation engine was created for All Pro that a situation like this might occur. But again, Fort Worth played a hell of a game. DC played a hell of a game. One team had to win. DC won. Both quarterbacks played extremely well. Synergy, 25-29. 2 touchdowns and interception. Was sacked 5 times. Kevin Say had a good day on the ground. DC had a very nice balanced attack. Rotating between Say and Synergy. It really wasn't one-sided either way. Both guys had their chance to show their stuff and give opportunity for the wide receivers to make plays, and make plays they did. Every single player made a play on offense that is contracted to that club. DC played a hell of a game. Fort Worth, just a little bit off for Johnny Reno. He's played really rather well. 2 touchdowns himself, right along there with Sebastian Synergy. Jason Williams, a little bit less production, about 30 yards less than Kevin Say, but still a very admirable performance. Defenses played well. I think it's just because they had no timeouts, weren't able to spike the ball in time, weren't able to get their field goal unit on the field. Just didn't work out for Fort Worth. So that's going to do it. That is how things played out. I don't have a graphic for this week, but as far as the official tallies go, both myself and you guys, the SFL community and who you got, are tied as far as predictions go. As I'm picking against the spread, you guys are picking just straight up, and both of us are 13-11 on the season. I did get my best bet. I did pick Lone Star to cover / win the spread over London. So I'm one of best bets this week, or this year, I should say. But that is how things stand. Tomorrow, we've got power rankings. And where did everybody end up? Who fell the hardest? Who rose to glorious heights? You'll find out tomorrow. So until then, everybody, have a good night. And we'll see you bright. Well, maybe not bright and early, but we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.